Welcome back to another edition of Chris the Caravan Man. This time, motor movers. Hi, so in this video we're going to go on a bit more further on about motor movers and how they work. This is spurred on really from a conversation I was having with a chap via the comments you may have seen. Stephen Mandy, I think it was, asking about he swapped his motor mover over from one caravan to another and having a bit of trouble with the wiring, and it was only going backwards and forwards, not going left or right. We'll go into that a bit further later on. But first I want to take you through basically motor movers, what they are. If you're new to the caravanning fraternity, you may think everyone's going for motor movers. I don't need a motor mover or whatever. There's no shame in having a motor mover. I've been caravanning now for years, and I've only had a motor mover on my last three, and that's mainly because they've come with them on. And as you can see in my barn here, or it's not my barn, I'll store my caravan, it's not exactly what you call wide for space. I've got all that lot over there, and for me to put my tow car on the front of that and then try and get out there, as you can see, is not a big space. So basically now having a longer caravan, a motor mover is a bit of a godsend really. So two different types of motor mover. I'm going to concentrate really on power touch stuff because that's what I know and what I've worked on a lot. My Verona, preceding this caravan, was a manual engagement, which means you had to get down with a bar, engage the rolls onto the wheels. Now, if I take you down to the wheels, if we go to the back one, you can probably see it a bit better. I'll go to the back one. Right, let's have a look. Right, as you can see, there's a motor mover. With a manual one, you'll have a 19mm hex shaft come out of here, and what you basically do is you get a lever and you engage it that way by putting it on. As you can see with this one's an evolution model, which basically means it's an automatic one. So I'll take you through that in a moment, how that all works, how to use a controller. Advantages and disadvantages: you get the couple of people who say, oh, electronic ones, more stuff to go wrong. Yes, but it's how you use it. I know you can use it for moving your caravan, obviously, but it's how you use it, how you look after it, how you maintain it, how you check stuff. Yeah, it's not as hard as people make it out to be. And to be honest, everything mechanical at some point may fail, so you know, it's no different to anything else. When I used to work on these a lot, it was just mainly a couple of issues, and 99 times out of 100 it wasn't anything to do with the motor mover, it was something to do with something in the caravan. So we'll take you through that in a minute. So let's start at the beginning. Motor movers, there's loads of brands, different makes: Power Touch, Reich, Enduro, loads of them. All very good, all do their job. All it's basically going to do is, its purpose is, once you put it on a caravan, is to move your caravan from one spot to another. For me, I haven't got much space, as you can see in the video, so what I do when I hook this up to my car is I move the Land Rover middle of the barn, take the caravan to the Land Rover on the motor mover, done. Other end of the journey, we use CL, so there's not really much issue with space, but you go to like a club site or something with a road down the middle of it, sometimes there's not much space to get it on, so you then disconnect, move the caravan onto the pitch. Get a lot of people poo-pooing motor movers, saying they don't need a motor mover. It's absolutely fine. Don't need a motor mover, don't have one. There's no shame in having one though. Going on holiday, you want to make your life as easy as you can for yourself, and if you're lucky enough to have a motor mover, you've saved yourself a lot of sweat and a lot of arguments when you get up. The other thing that puts people off with motor movers is the fact that they remember them when they first come out many years ago, and you used to press the button to go forward and you say shoot off 100 miles an hour. They don't do that anymore. They are very safety conscious, so they will not shoot off flat out like that. As with Power Touch ones, what happens is they gradually speed up as you go forward. and as soon as you take your thumb, finger, whatever you're using to press that button off, the caravan will stop instantly. They will not go slowly just then a stop, it will stop on the button. That's a health and safety issue, obviously, because if you get distracted and you're heading towards something and someone says stop, you take your thumb off, it's going to go stop straight away. There's other things on motor mover hand controllers as well, that if you don't use it for 30 seconds, it'll turn itself off. I think it's 2 minutes for the power boxes inside the caravan to turn off, so if you get distracted and you see one of your friends, or you have to talk to someone, get called away, put the remote control in your pocket, then lean on something, you're not going to run over the neighbour in the next pitch, because obviously. So in this video, I'm basically going to concentrate on power touch motor movers. Now, like I say in all my videos, I'm not sponsored, I'm not endorsed by any of these companies I use. It's purely the stuff that I found works very, very well. And if anyone, when I was caravan servicing and engineering and fitting and doing whatever, if anyone asked me for a motor mover, I would offer them a power touch one. Sometimes you did a fit own for customer, so basically what happened is they would buy the motor mover and you would fit it. So I have fitted and have got experience of other models and makes, but my own personal choice, like I say, I like a power touch. So the other reason I like power touch as well is obviously give them a little bit, their backup and their warranty is superb. The team up at Derby, Andy, all the people up there in the office, Carol and everyone, superb people, help you out, sort you out as best they can. And yeah, the backup and the warranty is absolutely massive, superb. Yeah, used to ask them stuff, used to give you help, hints and tips. Sales reps always very happy, always tried to get you the stuff out as quick as they could. So you've chosen your motor mover. How does it work? So, right, with a motor mover, it is designed to run on a 12-volt supply. So if you wire it to your battery, the main power for making the motor mover will come from your leisure battery. Now that means your leisure battery's got to be in tip-top condition, because they do drain batteries quite well, motor movers, especially like this one, the quad one. So you've got to make sure your battery's in tip-top condition. So when you go to use it, it's absolutely fine. Now, the reason I say it's got to be in tip-top condition is because most of the faults I used to get when I had a service call for a motor mover not working wasn't actually the motor mover. What will happen is the control boxes, now I'm referring to power touch only, what will happen is if the battery voltage dips below 10.5 volts, the motor mover won't work. So what would happen is if you've got a battery with a cell gone, or slightly defective, slightly old, what would happen is the caravan would move a couple of feet forward and stop. You think, this is very strange. So what happened then is you turn your red key off, which is the isolator key, which I'll show you shortly, leave it a minute, turn it back on again, and it would go again for another couple of feet, then stop. Now what that is basically the motor mover control unit has detected that the voltage has gone below the threshold. So basically, I think it was 10.5 volts from memory. Once it goes by 10.5 volts, it shuts down to protect itself. So what would happen is, as you move, turn it off, battery off, and turn it back on again, it'll move again. It's very similar to if you have a flat battery in your car. You get out and it'll start up and it go whoa, 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 and stop. You leave it a minute and it'll do it again, blah, 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 and stop. Exact same principle, because the battery's voltage has dipped below what it should be. There's your problem. So if you do ever have a problem with your motor mover and it does that, so basically rolls a couple of feet, stops, reset it, rolls a couple of feet, stops, reset it, get your battery checked, because it's a very expensive call out if not. So how is it connected to the caravan? So as I say, leisure battery is the main source of power. So what I will do, I will show you how it's connected. Right, so there we go, there's the battery. The mover is powered by the red ones there. Now the red ones go flying around here under the floor. I'd like to say I didn't put this in, it's already come with the caravan, so not my wiring, governor, honest. That is the isolation key. That is the main key which turns all the power off to these two boxes here. Now if you've got a single axle caravan, you'll still have this red switch. They usually on older caravans, you've got the battery box on the outside of the caravan. That key will be in the battery box, usually underneath the power lead. Now I'll tell you why that is in a minute. And you only have one of these boxes. So basically this is the two powers going in. These ones here are the activators for the motors that push the wheels into the tyres. And obviously because it's a twin mover or twin axle mover, you've got another battery box, another control panel there, which is the box for the rear set of movers. Now the reason that these isolation switches are here is mainly because it cuts off the power, so no one can relieve you of your caravan without that red key being turned. So yeah, so this is obviously being a battery box being under the floor in this caravan, that's where the isolation key is. Now as I was saying, with older caravans, they usually find the isolation switch is in a cupboard at the side. So basically if you're in something, I know that's under the locker in this one, but in a normal caravan with a battery box externally mounted, that's where you usually would find one. Now the reason you put the key, which this is another question I got asked quite often, why have you put the key in such an awkward place? Now the reason the key is usually installed underneath the electric hookup inlet is quite straightforward really. One, it's out of the way and hidden. And the other one is, you're not supposed to run your motor mover with the caravan plugged in. Now the reason that is your motor movers, with these motor movers here, they draw 30 amps per motor when they're flat out. Now, and under load, that is, flat out and under load. So if you got a flat battery and you plug in the mains, your battery charge is only 20 amps. So you're actually giving it 5 or 6 times more than it actually can cope with, and it will blow the power supply. So that's why you can only really get the key in if the cable's out. That's the reason why it's in an awkward place. So how does it work? So you turn your red key on the inside of the vehicle. Now with a manual motor mover, now is the time to engage your rollers. This is obviously after you've done your pre-flight checks, which is basically make sure you've got enough tyre pressure, in the air in the tyres, make sure the handbrake works, all that sort of stuff. So to manual one, you'll put your 19mm in and engage it into place. That's done with a great big, you'll know it's home, excuse me, bit of an itch, but know that's done when you hear the big clunk. Now with my one here, this being an automatic one, that's not the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera around and show you how our one works. So to turn on the controller, there's your controller. So basically, as you can see, quite easy to use. So to turn it on, these two green ones, I'm trying to do it with one hand. So what happens is when you turn it on, as you can see the green button at the bottom there. Right, I know it's working. So if you look at the handset, people sometimes hold it like that, which is probably a natural way to do it because that's the way it's shaped. But as you can see, if you look on here, there's an outline of the caravan there. So it's that way round. That way makes it easier. Okay, so to make sure it's on, I'll just take you down to the wheels. Just going to move it forward. As you can see, it's all rolling nicely. Right, so here we are. Motor mover's on. We're ready to go. Right, to turn it on, two green buttons, press those together, that'll turn that on. Obviously you've already turned the red isolation switch on inside the caravan. Now to engage the wheels, you'll notice on here, the button in the middle has got a green arrow on it, and there's a green arrow down there. So basically what happens is if you press both those together, so press one in the middle first and press that one, you can hear what's going on. And what you'll see is the LEDs are scrolling from one to the other. So it's going that way, which means it's engaging on the little green button there. We'll stand back and have a listen. Lights are still flashing. Not ready yet until, yeah, 3 flashes. Now it's ready to go now, so we can move this backwards and forwards. Do what we need to do with that. Want to disengage it, so basically again, red button in the middle there, or a little red arrow there, and there's a red arrow down this corner here. So basically to press that and press that, what now happens is the LEDs are scrolling the other way, telling you that they're coming off. Now the caravan might move because we've moved it. Exactly the same is going to happen here now. What's going to happen now is everything's going to stop and people think, oh, that's the time to turn it off. They turn it off. But the problem is, this little noise you're going to hear now, wherever it is, that's very important you hear all of that, because if you turn it off before that, the motor mover doesn't know where it is when it comes to that distance of moving the wheels in and out, or that way if you're the other way, front wheels. Now the reason that's important you hear that before you turn it off is, I always used to explain to customers, it's quite easy. Imagine that the whole length of that making where the motor mover is now to where it's fully engaged is 30 cycles. So basically the control box in there will count 30 times. So it knows that 30 times in, that's against the wheel. To reset itself, it'll do exactly the same again, it'll do 32. So basically it'll do 32 all the way back out until it knows it's finished. Then it'll go back into, because it knows that's where its parking point is, and it knows that 30 cycles in will be against the wheel. Now the problem is you haven't got those 2 cycles at the beginning of at the end of the retraction process. The motor mover doesn't know where it is. Mainly the fact is it doesn't know where on the carriage the motor mover is positioned. So it'll go, oh, and it'll sit there looking at you. Now there is a way around this to get out of it. People have been on the internet and looked at it, and which is absolutely fine. People get lots of information from the internet. Majority of it is spot on. There is a couple of other little things that need a bit more explaining. Now with, let me get a bit further away, there you go, oh, that's better. With these, there is, if the motor mover doesn't know, or the carriage motor doesn't know where the motor mover is on the carriage, it won't work. So what you need to do is you need to, at the end of the motor mover, which I will show you in a moment, there's a little hole, and you should get a tool with your motor mover, and basically what you do is you turn it twice. Don't turn it twice and turn it back, because you're putting it back in the same place. Just turn it twice one way, turn the motor mover back on and retract it. So what that'll do then is that'll go right back to its end stop and then do its 2 cycles back inwards. That then should reset it. Now if still after that it still doesn't quite work, there may be another issue with the control box, may have a bit of a fault with it. Obviously if your motor mover is under 5 years old, it's covered under warranty. You'll get an engineer out first and look at it. But yeah, quite straightforward. Those are the only 2 things I've ever really found the problems with them. But again, most of those are nothing to do with the motor mover, they're just people being a bit impatient of turning the power off before they should do. Now with these motor movers, like I was saying with Steve and Mandy when they messaged me, if you were to wire both boxes under the seat the same and go forward, what will happen is the motor mover will 9 times out of 10 just go in a straight line, which is fine until you come to turn. You then try and turn, still goes in a straight line, because the motor mover is wired as it should be. It's just thinking it's going in a straight line. So what you need to do on your second box with the motor mover is you need to reverse the motors. So basically swap right to left, left to right, and then reverse the polarity. Because what that then does is it makes it a mirror image of the first box, which then should make your motor mover the same. Now, the easy way to check this is wired up right. If you turn the motor mover back on, which I'm going to do now, it's back on. If I show you the rollers, so let me flip you around. So motor with rollers, we can do this with it off. There's a roller there, there's a roller there. So if I was to go forward, the motor at the front should go clockwise. Motor at the back should go clockwise, which is absolutely fine. Now, if you're going to turn the caravan, so we say we want to turn it to the right, so basically how motor would work is if you want to turn the caravan to the right, what happens is it will put the left-hand motor on. So if we go right, so basically if you look, that's going flat out, that's going flat out. And if you come to the other side, if we go right this side, I'll show you that, there's the motor mover wheel. What will happen on this side of things, you notice that slows down, it slows down, and speeds up. And the same again with the back one. Slows down, speeds up. So what that's doing is, instead of your caravan using, if we're going to go right, using the offside motors, if they were to stay still and you powered the left-hand motors, because obviously you put the left-hand motor go forward, which will bring the caravan to go to the right. If you were to do that and leave these wheels standing perfectly still, what would happen is probably the tyres will probably come off the rims, because there's so much force and weight making it and pressure on the tyres. So what they do with these ones is they will pulse the offside rollers, speed them up, slow them down. So instead of it doing, if I imagine this is the caravan, instead of it doing that, it does that. So basically it comes as an arc rather than like an on-the-spot pivot. Also, what you can't do with a twin axle motor mover is you can't make it, if I use that as a demonstration, you can't make it do that. So basically you can't put these wheels on forward and these wheels on backwards and make it spin on the spot. Won't happen. Again, that is mainly because the new ones are wired and designed in a way where you cannot rip the wheels, tyres off the wheels. You may look at them and think, oh, why would tyres are going a bit wrong? Perfectly normal. It's not going to do any damage to it. Basically what it's doing is just helping you turn the corner. So as I was saying, the emergency release or reset hole, if I give you that, there it is. On all 4 movers, including the single axle automatic one. If you remove that little white hole in there, little white bung, that gives you access to the actuation motor. Now if you turn it, put a little tool in there, turn it one way or the other, if it's to a point where you can't actually physically get it to do anything, even though you've done it twice, you can actually use that hole there and the little tool, and it actually winds that whole mechanism back off the wheel. So thank you for watching. It's sort of a miniature rough guide on motor movers and what to look for issue wise. Any problems, let me know in the comments. Any questions, let me know in the comments. I always try and answer as much as I can, but obviously because I work full time, I only get a chance to look at it every other day or so. So if you do ask a question, bear with me, give me a day or two and I'll get back to you with an idea if I can help you at all. So yeah, thank you for joining me. It's very hot in here today, so I'm going to go outside and get a nice cold drink in a minute. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe, and I hopefully see you soon. Bye for now.